Welcome to the Lean Podcast, where empowerment and alignment come together. I'm your host, Mahogany, here to guide you through inspiring stories of resilience, overcoming grief, health challenges, career struggles, and more. Together, we'll lean into strength, embrace growth, and discover the power of sharing experiences. Before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to start with a prayer. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to join me. Dear God, thank you for this space to uplift, inspire, and empower. Bless the woman sharing her story today and those who are listening. May this podcast be a source of hope, healing, and alignment with your purpose for our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey everyone, help me welcome Miss Kelsey Rhae. She is a mom, she is a car earner and prove it. She is a six-figure entrepreneur. Help me welcome Kelsey Rhae.
Hi, guys.
Hey Kelsey.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. I really, truly appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm honored. I'm excited.
We're going to quickly drop that we are leaving this episode in memory of our sweet, sweet Jessie Lee. So if you're listening and you know who you are, swing by her Instagram page or just drop a comment with a purple heart and let her know how much we love and miss her. All right, y'all. So today, Kelsey Rhae is going to be talking to us about business. As we know, business is no easy obstacle, and it takes a true soldier and a true warrior to want to be successful in business to succeed. Now, as we stated, Kelsey Rhae is a six-figure earner. So today we're going to hear some of the things that she has endured through life to get her to this point in hopes that it empowers you to keep going on your own entrepreneurial journey. So Kelsey, can you share a little bit about yourself with us?
Yeah, so I have been an entrepreneur for about 8 years now. I started with my current company almost 6 years ago. Before that, I was cleaning houses, like just cleaning houses locally for myself, working for myself. And I also had a sugar daddy. There's a lot I'm sure we'll get into of like how I ended up there. But as it stands right now, I love social media. I think that it's amazing. It's an amazing tool to use to reach a lot of people, to impact a lot of people, because I've been through a lot of really hard things like most people, and talking on them, I feel like helps people feel good about the things that they go through. It makes them feel a little less alone. And I've discovered that my purpose in life is to just help people. And there's a lot of different ways that I've been able to do that. And so I show up on social media every single day, multiple posts, I go live. And that's how I generate an income. I essentially sell exogenous ketones, and that's how I make the income. But I love them and I sell them because I believe in them and the way that they have made me feel. So 6 years ago, I started, exploring ketones and seeing what they were. I thought they were a whole crock of BS, and started drinking them. Within 4 months, they helped me lose 55 pounds of fat. I fell in love. I couldn't shut up about it. And that led me on my social media journey. And so, like I said, I show up every single day and I just share parts of my life and who I am and how I parent and my relationship and things like that, just to inspire and help other people in their own life. I have 4 kids. 2 of them are biological. 2 of them are my bonus babies. We are a blended family. And that in and of itself has been quite the journey. And yeah, I do this full time, and I'm just really happy to be here. This is really exciting.
Ooh, she's on fire. I love it. Love it. Love it. So let me tell you quickly, just because I haven't got to talk to you, but my first experience with ketones, let me tell you. I had a friend, Brianna, who was selling it out of Oregon. And this is before I even came across Miss Jessie Lee, like ever. And I'm like, okay, she's telling me I'll lose weight. I had just had my baby. And so I did the trial pack because I'm like, ooh, that's expensive. So I think I did like a 5 or 7 day trial packs. And I had drank them every day. And I was down to my last pack. And my husband got a hold of it. And it was a fight in our house. And he's like, if it's making you act like that, you need to stop doing it. I don't know what's in there that got you tripping like this, but if you're going off about this last pack of ketones, it's a problem. I'm like, you're right, it's a problem. Like, seriously, I was feeling focused. I was feeling energized. I was feeling all the things. So the fact that you took my last pack and I'm a new mom and it was my last option, like I was heated. So, needless to say, I am a believer of the ketones.
I love
I
that.
hadn't bought after that because he had me in my feelings like, dang, maybe I do need to lay off if it's making me act like this. But that was my 20-year-old mind. I'm 32 now, and my mind is, if it's helping me, I'm buying it, period. Because when you get older, y'all, as you might find out later, you'll buy whatever you need to buy to
Right.
keep yourself functioning at the optimal, right?
And that's why I love ketones, like the mental clarity and the energy and the focus. My brain is on, and it's been on for the past 5 years. And the first time I drink them, I think that's why I show up so passionately on social media like I do, because something that simple changed my life. Like it really did. I mean, other than the physical aspects of it, I was able to actually like hold a thought and remember things. And I had never really been able to do that. I didn't know what my brain felt like when it was on before that. So like I'm just obsessed with them and I'll always drink them.
I love it. So outside of Prove It, in what other ways have you become an entrepreneur, or has Prove It, or other ways that Prove It has allowed you to be entrepreneurs in other areas?
Wow, like I have learned so much in this profession that pour out into other avenues. A big part of that is Jessie Lee. She taught me a lot about marketing and sales and, just your presence and so many different things that play into building other businesses. So I was able to actually start up an Airbnb business based off of and utilizing my social media platform, because I started this 5 years ago with no follower. I didn't even have the TikTok. I wasn't TikTok at that time. It was Musically. So like that right around the time that I started is when TikTok opened up, started to explode. And then I just made an account. I got on there and I started making videos. And I had Instagram, but not that many followers. And then I had Facebook, and I had like 500 hometown friends on there. So like I, built this massive following on social media from nothing, from not knowing anything. I just kind of like was messy action, learning as I go, picking up things here and there. And over the course of 5 years, I've learned a lot about marketing and sales and money and all of these different things. And I truly believe that, generating income is there's different ways to generate income, right? You have, the income that you earn, that you work for, earned income. And then there's passive income like Airbnb, where you just set it up and then you go. So being able to learn what I've learned in this has helped pour into me starting up an Airbnb business. And my fiance actually has a fitness business that has also been thriving due to what we've learned in this profession too. So I've been able to do that. And like, there's so many things that I could do. The world is literally my oyster. I like saying that. I know it's like a common saying, but that's so true. Like I can do anything that I set my mind to, because I've learned the basics of just humans and marketing and sales and like, how to, and the world is revolved around sales. So like when you learn that skill, it's like the world is open. So it's definitely helped pour into a lot of the other entrepreneurial, journeys that excite me.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. One opportunity, one yes, has trickled into these other areas of your life where you can now thrive.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I know things were not always this way. So share with us a little bit where you were before you found Prove It. And you can take it as far back as you want, but where were you prior?
I mean, let's just go back into my childhood. I just feel like it's really important to talk about how I was raised, because people think that like I got lucky or I got handed something or like whatever. And that is just not the case at all. Like I have worked really hard for what I have. And I want to mention that because I want the average person to hear me and think, if she can do it, so can I, because that's what I stand for. Like I literally come from nothing, and I'm creating the life of my dreams. Like every single day I'm making decisions to create the life that I want to live. Not that I have to live, not that I was handed. Like, we are not our circumstances, or we are not our childhood. Our past does not define us. And so it's my mission to show up and show people that every day. I grew up in a broken home. My dad has been in prison my whole life. My mom I think she was sober for like 5 years out of my entire life. She's currently still, drugs and alcohol. And so, my mom was the one who raised us, but she wasn't really there. She wasn't really present mentally. She was not a mother to me. There was a lot of trauma that was caused, by her that I'm having to kind of like fix now because I've noticed that it started to pour out onto my kids. And so, we had a normal life. There was nothing crazy about it. I mean, I will tell you that my grandfather, which is my mom's dad, and my mom were like the crazy people. Like they were entrepreneurs. And I am so grateful for her because she did give me that. She gave me the mindset that I needed to like really excel in things like this. And that right there tells me that I was meant for this. I was destined to be somebody that was an entrepreneur that shows up and like does the thing and doesn't care. She was an entrepreneur. She did. I mean, just from what I remember as a child, like she was doing anything and everything that she could. Like she started like multiple businesses as I was a child. Like I just watched her come up with an idea and then immediately implement and then make something out of it. But because unfortunately because of her addiction, nothing really stuck. So she couldn't take care of the money that she was making, and she made a lot of money, right? And I watched that. And my grandfather too, he did the same thing, and that's where she got it from. So it's like almost like a generational blessing of just entrepreneurs, right? Working for yourself and taking your life into your own hands and controlling your own life. And so, that was a great part of my childhood and things that I saw that I was able to implement that helped to make me successful now. But, we didn't have a lot of money. We were on food stamps. I actually went to jail when I was 16 years old for attempted murder, armed robbery, and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. I was with a group of friends that talked me into robbing somebody that we knew for drugs and money. We got caught and we turned ourselves in. And then I ended up spending about a month in jail. I had house arrest, probation. And because I didn't have anything prior on my record and I was 16 years old, I was able to do like time served probation for like 4 years. And I didn't have to do any prison time, but I was facing like 90 years in prison. Had circumstances been a little bit different, had I had a background, had I been a little bit older, I probably would have actually went to prison for quite some time because of that. And I don't regret those things because it's what has molded me into the person that I am, right? It's given me a story to share with other people and be like, hey, like I've went to jail. I still to this day, I'm a felon. Like I haven't gotten it expunged, not because I don't want to, just because it's one of those things, you know what I mean? It's not right there in front of your mind. But that's just one of the things that I experienced. I've went through very traumatic relationships and not having a relationship with my dad, watching my mom, so that was a whole traumatizing situation in and of itself, because once I got out of jail, she was back on alcohol and drugs. We were living in hotels. Sometimes I'd be by myself, and I was 16, 17. So I was like, coming into an adult, which wasn't horrible, but I was still a child, and, there was times where she would like try and trick me out, where she was tricking out. And this is a really vital part to why I think I ended up going the path I went with the sugar daddy, because I watched her do it. And I didn't have any respect for myself, I don't think. And I thought I did in the moment, right? But looking back, I realized that it was because I watched her have no respect for herself. And so, it was just a crazy journey with her. And then speeding the timeline up to 5 or 6, we'll say 6 years ago, right before I started Prove. I was living on my own for the first time forever. It was just me and my son. He was, I think, 2 at that time. And I felt like on top of the world because I was able to just like provide for my son. Because prior to us moving into that house, I was actually in a very toxic relationship with his dad. And it was just really bad. And I finally had kicked him out and had enough. And that's when I actually started looking into the sex working field. I started like webcamming and stuff like that. And truly my reasoning behind starting that in the first place was because I genuinely did not want to send my kid to daycare. I did not want to, I didn't want to be separated from him. That was my first child. I had no idea. I was very like overprotective. And so I was like, what do I have to do to be able to stay home with him? What can I do at night while he's sleeping so I can pay the bills and not have to rely on somebody else to pay the bills that's abusing me? And so I started doing that. And then I started getting into actually physically going and meeting sugar daddies. And then that's when I started making enough money to actually live on my own. So then we got a house, just me and him, me and my son. And then in that house is when I found ketones. And then because of ketones and what they did for me and how I felt on them, it was just a natural reaction for me to start, posting to Facebook. And I was going live on Facebook, and I started eating better. So I started like cooking on live and showing people what I was eating and what I was cooking. I started working out. So I started like showing people my workouts, and truly I've just documented my entire life for the past 6 years almost for people to see. And they want to be a part of that. And I want them to be a part of that because like, I didn't just go through all of these things I went through for no reason. Like I truly believe that God allowed me to go through these things so I could be a voice and share with other people. Like, yes, life happens and it can feel like it's happening to you, but it doesn't have to. Like, you can change it. It doesn't matter what you've been through. If you've been to prison or if you've had a sugar daddy or whatever, if your parents weren't there for you, you can decide what your future looks like based on the decisions that you make from this point moving forward. So, I mean, yeah, that was a lot, but I mean, it wasn't an easy road, and it still isn't. I still face things every single day, obstacles that I have to overcome. But I have the mindset now that the obstacles are what make me a better person to help other people.
Man, I love that so much. And my daughter must have known it was getting deep because usually she'll bother me. She came and sat with her tablet and then walked back out. That's rare for a 3-year-old. Usually they're going to come talk to you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. But, so you got into situations based off of things you saw growing up, but you found a way out. What were some influences that you saw to make you think like, hey, I'm going to go a different direction with this? What were some influences you had?
Well, I think that like the first part of that is I had this innate sense of like, I just knew that I could do whatever I wanted because I watched my mom do it. And even though she didn't make it like super successful, whatever she did, like it was like ingrained. You know how like your habits and like you sometimes you're like, oh man, I sound like my mom. I look like my mom. Like it's just because it's in your DNA, and that was such a good part that I got from her. And so like that's a part of it. And then inside of my journey with Prove It and ketones, 100% Jessie Lee. I mean, it wasn't at first either. She didn't like bring me into the business. She wasn't even like my direct upline. It was like levels above, right? There was a lot of people in between me and her. But because I started to I kind of just took off running with it, and I became really successful really quickly. I mean, this was like right around COVID. So like network marketing was booming. Everybody wanted to work from home. Everybody needed, it was like a reality check. People were like, I need to get healthy. I need to start making some more money because my job could just easily be gone that fast. And that's still true today, right? We just don't have the big pandemic making that bright in front of people's eyes, but it's still true. It's like nothing is concrete, and you need to take care of yourself and you need to take care of your health. But once I started like really running with it and like showing the numbers, it was like no one could ignore me. The company couldn't ignore me. I became top 3 in the company, just like going crazy with sales and helping people start the business. But Jessie Lee, like really, and at first it was like I was ignorance on fire. I was running like crazy. I was selling like crazy. I was just excited. That was just me being excited and being passionate about something. And then it started to get to where I was getting closer with her, and she just believed so hard. Like she believed in me, and she saw me differently than anybody else. And I know that this probably sounds cliche, but she really is a massive part of the reason why I am who I am today. I mean, she would put me in rooms with millionaires, and she put me on stages to speak, and she brought me to the table, and she saw so much potential in me that I hadn't seen yet, that I didn't realize yet. And then over time of her putting me at tables that she was sitting at, I started to see, oh my God, like I really can make this something. And not just that, then when she passed away, I was like, I now have to be that person that brings other women to the table, that brings, this opportunity to other people. And so she just was a massive part in my journey. And like once I got close to her, that was a big shift for me in my business. And then really once I started understanding influence, that was a really big shift too. And I understood, when you hold influence, there's a lot of things that you can do. And there's a lot of times that people will gain influence for the wrong reasons and they don't use it, or they use it for bad. And I'm just so grateful that I am consciously aware to like use it for good and to just help people. And I just use it to share my story and other people's story. So yeah, she was a really big, massive part in the shift.
I love it so much. Where did you meet Jessie Lee? Was it online, or was it just you knew her through the company already, or she came to you when you were a high earner, like, hey, I see you?
Yeah, I mean, I knew her when I joined immediately. Like I knew her whenever I had joined, because there was like training videos I would watch, and it was her speaking. And when I first joined, I was like, oh my God, like she's so like up there. She's like she has so many followers. She's famous. She's like top in the company. All of these things. And then, I can't remember I do remember the first time I met her. She actually came down here, and we hosted an event in a conference room locally, and she came and she spoke, and we invited people to come and taste ketones and learn more about what we were doing. And so she came in and she spoke, and we chatted a lot after the event. And that was the first time I had ever met her. And then from there, it was just like anytime there was an event, or anytime that she would invite people to her house, or like she would invite champs and people that were like leaders inside of the company to her house. And like anytime that I got an invite, I was there. I was going to her house. I was going to events. I just got around her because I knew that when I did I just got her on the fire. It just lit me on fire because of her ambition and what she stood for, and just the belief that she poured into me. And so I just continuously got around her. But I know her through Prove It, and I didn't know her before Prove It at all, which I hadn't really been on social media like that anyways. Like, I didn't have TikTok, didn't have Instagram, and I barely, did I just shared stuff on Facebook. It wasn't anything crazy. But yeah.
That's so powerful, man. So how would one go from being a sex worker, using your own words, to, just so the audience knows I'm not cruel,
I know.
how do you go from being a sex worker to being a six-figure entrepreneur? What takes place beyond having the right influence and being close to the fire? What needs to be there?
I think that you need to find a mentor. I think that it's really important that you follow somebody who's done what you're trying to do, and you listen to nobody else. Like, there's a lot of people that will try and tear you down when you start trying to do something. And, maybe it's not that you join Prove It, and maybe it's not ketones, or maybe it's not an MLM or even an online company. But like, when you start trying to do really great things, when you start doing audacious things, people naturally want to tear that down, especially, and it's surprising, the people in your life. They don't want to see you getting better. It's scary. Like, if you really think about it, like that is just a scary thought of like, this person in my life that I love so much is getting better. She's becoming more active. He,
Sorry, guys.
more money, building a business. I forget, I have a lot of women I talk to, so I forget I'm even talking to men.
Me too.
So your family or the people in your life are watching you do something that they've never done, which is scary. Do something that's just so out of the norm, especially like building a business, right? And it gets scary. So it's like, oh, wow, like I'm watching her excel, and I either have to change and excel with her, or I have to or she's going to outgrow me. And it's not that they think these things, it's a subconscious feeling that they have. And so like my biggest tip, and I see it so much, I see it all the time, is like when, especially people who, you know, come from nothing, sex work, jail, whatever, and then you try to make something of yourself. People will try to drag you down. You've got to find somebody that is doing the things you want to do and follow them, even if it's just virtually. Like I listen to Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and Ed Milet and all of these really amazing people, and they're my mentors and they don't know it. But like lock yourself in. Lock yourself in. This is like really important when you're trying to make something of yourself. Only surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to do. Only focus on those people, because it I've watched it happen where people will come into the business and they'll start doing really good. They'll start losing weight. They'll start getting fit. They'll start making money. And then something happens with their family. Their significant other throws a tantrum and like knocks them off their game or whatever. And it happens all the time. And so, like, that is the saddest thing. So don't let anybody deter you from what you want to do and change your mind on what you want to do. You can do anything that you want to do. Like if you want to become like a famous knitter or like whatever, like you can do whatever you want to do. Like literally, like, and when you understand that and you set your mind to it, nothing is going to stop you. Nothing will stop you. That's why I'm sitting where I'm at today, because I was like, I don't care that I'm a felon. I don't care that I was in sex work. I love that I actually was in sex work, because this gives me more to talk about, to bring the attention. Sales is just attention. Can you get attention, right? Like, can you have influence and get attention? And so just keep showing up and keep doing the thing. I think it's really important to have a mentor. That would be the first thing. And then you need to have some kind of like structure, you know? I think that learning structure, to have structure in your life, that's the hardest thing, right? It's like you can sit there and sell some product and make some money and do these like little hobby things. But if you want to build a business, if you want to like impact people, you got to like show up. You have to. You cannot allow your excuses to come in and be like, oh, I don't really feel like it today. I don't feel like making a post. I don't feel like reaching out. I don't feel like. You have to be like, okay, every single day, when is the time that you're going to sit down, you're going to actually run your business or do the things that you want to do, that's pouring into your passion and where you're trying to go in life. Even if you work a 9-to-5 job, it's like, there's only so much that you can do to get a pay. There's only so much you're going to be raised up in terms of your pay, but structure is everything, and living by a calendar is everything. And when I learned that, my life, my path, like I started going faster, basically. Everything started moving faster when I really started to structure out my life and have vision. And really the next thing is like write down your vision. I think the biggest, I keep saying the biggest, all of these are huge.
It's all the biggest and the bestest. Like, this is the best advice. This is the best.
But I think that like a big part of my life is like, okay, I actually have it somewhere. I have this little blue book, and it kind of looks like this. Okay. But it's blue. And from like for 2 years straight, I just wrote out I am statements. I am a 6-figure earner. I am speaking on stages. I am XYZ. I am whatever. And I swear to you, every single statement in that book is true. And I'm not sitting here saying like, it's not witchcraft. Okay. It's just something about having vision for where you're going, and how your brain is so powerful. Like you can do anything you set your mind to. And we hear this all the time, but I don't think you understand it until you actually try and go after something and then you achieve it. Right? Of like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to speak on stages. I knew I was going to make the money that I make. Right? And I come from being poor and having nothing to making all this money and living my dream life and being able to go on out of the country trips. You have to have vision. And so write it down and like be really specific. What do you want your life to look like? Even if it feels so out of touch with reality, of your reality right now, write it down, your wildest dreams, write it down and write it down again and write it down again. And you just keep pouring into that vision and that belief in yourself, and you have a mentor and you have structure. I mean, I don't see how you can't go really far with that.
Child, I feel like I could just I've gotten some good information so far, and I almost feel guilty to ask you, how can you empower us? Because I feel like that was so empowering in itself, y'all. Make sure we're writing it down. Make sure we're believing in it. Where we come from does not dictate our future. If I can ask, what work did your mother and your grandfather do? What was their entrepreneurial journeys and paths they took?
I mean, it was everything. My I call him Pop, right? That's my grandfather. And my Pop did a lot of construction. You know, he created a lot of his own companies. He was repairing campers at one point and building houses and doing plumbing. Like he just created his own company. He'd be like, oh, well, you know, there's a need for this. Let me just go offer myself, right? My mom, like, she did like crime scene cleanup before, you know, she
Mm.
sold like body jewelry. She did Mary Kay, she did MLMs, she did everything. Like, and I literally was by her side the entire time she did all of it. So I would go to these, you know, these markets where she would sell the body jewelry. I would go to the crime scene, which is very actually traumatic. I'd go to these crime scene cleanup places with her. Like I was like, I do not belong here. But you know, she would take me along, and it just ingrained into my head that you can literally. And she had, you know, she was kind of bitchy. You know, she had that whole like, can't tell me nothing. And I've always had that. And people don't like that. They don't like confidence, right? But again, it's all about attention. Can you get attention and keep attention? And so for a while I had a lot of bad attention, you know, going through doing I even, you know, had the sugar daddy in the beginning before I did ketones and Prove It. And then a couple of years in, I started doing OnlyFans with my fiance. And that was, I don't want to say a mistake, because I feel like every decision and everything that you go through, it's meant to happen. You're supposed to go through that because there was a lesson that you needed to learn to become better than you were before it. And so, you know, we did OnlyFans, and we did it actually twice. We did it, and then we quit, and then we did it again. And I learned so much through that, but really it was like such a distraction. And I realize that now is like, okay, stay focused on what you're doing, and don't, like, it's a trauma thing. I was like chasing some type of feeling or trying to fill a hole or whatever, you know. I think we all go through things like that. I mean, not doing OnlyFans, but you know what I mean. Traumatic stuff, like these thoughts that I was having. And so, but anyways, yeah, I watched her do anything and everything, and she just was like, you can't tell me nothing. And I inherited that from her. And, you know, although I don't have her in my life now, and, you know, she never really was the mom that I needed, I think I got exactly what I needed from her.
Man, I love that. You got me appreciating my mama who's gone now. You
Yeah.
know, I grew up with a mother who abused drugs as well.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if your mom abused drugs, but mine did. And then
Yeah.
it said substances, but you know, and it was hard. But I love how you flipped the narrative to make it seem like and appeared to be true that she was actually a hero. She was doing what she knew what to do the best she could, which is what as parents usually do, the best we know how.
Right.
I love it so much. So, what keeps you going and focused on your business path? I know that you said that you used to abuse alcohol. I don't know to what capacity, but I know that those emotions that led you to do that are probably still there in some type of way or some type of form. So, what keeps you going to where you don't need that suppressant to be successful?
Man, I am just like hyper aware. I'm very self aware, and sometimes that can be exhausting. It's not always like the best feeling to always be so aware of, like, you know, bad thoughts or bad habits or these things. And, you know, I've been sober for 3 years in December. And, you know, I drank alcohol for as long as I can. I mean, since I was 13, 14 years old. Like, my mom was an alcoholic. She would like give me beer, literally. Like, my grandparents, like, my family just drank a lot of alcohol all the time. It was around me all the time. And so naturally I did that. And, you know, it wasn't as hard to quit because it was me and my fiance. We did it together. You know, I had that accountability. I didn't have somebody else in my household trying to drink when I was trying to get sober. So that made it pretty seamless. We got through it, right? And I can tell you today is that what keeps me sober is understanding what it does to my body. like understanding what alcohol actually even is. I think that people don't understand what it's doing to your body. It's like literally aging you, number one. And then there's all kinds of diseases and mental health issues that are linked to alcohol. And so just knowing that, I don't want that. I want to live a very long life. I want to age gracefully. I want to. And another thing is like, I know if I pick up that drink and I drink on a regular basis, even if I can have just one every weekend or once a month, I don't want that to be a normal for my kids. I don't want them to think that it's okay to drink alcohol, because the only thing I think is going to break that generational cycle is if I express to them how detrimental it can be and how horrible it is. And we have a lot of conversations. I have tons of conversations with my kids about alcohol and smoking and things like that. I'm just like, we just don't do that. That's really bad for your health. And so um I was like trying to think of like the original. Oh, basically you were asking me, how do I keep going and not, so being sober, it directly is because I know what alcohol does to my body. And then also I know what kind of person I am when I drink. So, and I've struggled with substances like pills and things like that before I had my first, but that was kind of like just like a simple Band-Aid. I never got like super addicted to anything crazy. But alcohol is definitely like it's a problem, because if I drink, I can't just have one. I have a very high tolerance. I will get blackout drunk and then I become very irresponsible. I mean, like most people, right? Like when you drink, you just kind of forget your problems, which is why most people do drink. They just want to forget their problems. But those two things really keep me on track to being sober. And what keeps me going, a big part of it, like I said, was structure and scheduling, like making sure that I'm touching my business every single day. And what keeps me running towards, my goals and my dreams is the vision that I have. And I used to work so hard for money. Like money was the driver for me. Like, oh, more money, more money, more money. I got to a point where, I mean, I was making like $80,000 a month some months, and had everything. Like I was everything. I had it all. Like I was getting my hair done weekly, my nails done, my facials. I was like, I would drop $200-300 on clothes and shopping, and we would go take trips first class every single time. Like I've lived this luxury, lavish lifestyle. And I'll be honest, I'm trying to get out of that now, because I don't care about flying first class or having brand new clothes anymore. Like that didn't fulfill me. I got there and I was like, oh, still not happy. What's happening? The money didn't make me happy. The things didn't make me happy. I had to like go within myself and like really learn who I am and be okay with who I am and not run from it. And so now I'm on this journey of like just finding freedom. Like now I'm chasing after freedom and generational freedom. I don't want my kids tied to a 9-to-5. I don't want them, locked into a society that tells them that they can't do whatever they want. And so my driver that keeps me going is my kids, knowing that like everything I'm doing and what I'm like showing them is going to be ingrained into their DNA, like it was for me. And freedom, like I said, like making as much money as I possibly can for freedom. And so like we can travel and take our kids to other countries and show them different cultures, so that we can like educate them on, what the rest of the world looks like, not so that I can go fly first class to a bougie resort and relax without my kids, which is what I was doing. And so like it's just so different now. And I think that it's just vision. I just have a vision for where I want my life to go and what I want out of my life. And I'm not willing to accept a mediocre average life, because I know, like I've already proven it to myself, like I know that I'm capable of achieving really massive things. And also I know that like I'm going to change so many people's lives by doing it. Just by doing it myself and sharing that, so many people are going to start taking more action in their life. And that's the most fulfilling part. Like I said, I used to like run after money, but then when I started having people tell me how much I changed their life, that feeling in and of itself is worth everything. So that's what keeps me going.
Wow, that was so good. That's so good, Kelsey Rhae. Love it. So, what words of empowerment would you give a woman who's currently a sex worker, a child of an addict, and feels that they have no other choice but to follow in those exact same footsteps?
Wow. I'm trying to think back to that version of me,
Take your
like
time, get in the moment, think.
I just feel like there was nothing anybody could have said to me. I think that, well, and that's not even true. Like I'd listen to podcasts and I would do all these things. And I think that, like, if I'm speaking right now to somebody that's actively in sex work, maybe you have a sugar daddy, maybe you do OnlyFans, maybe you do webcam, whatever it is. I think the biggest thing is understanding that there's more to you than your body. Like, you know, I for me, I did that for so long because I didn't see the value in myself. I didn't think that I had anything else to offer besides my body. And that's just a belief thing, right? You have to like go out there and listen to some podcasts, like go obviously like you're doing right now or you're watching this, like doing things like this and consuming content from people who have been through what you're going through and that are where you want to be. That in and of itself is like pretty much, I feel like all you need, because like that will drive you. Like podcasts have been a massive part of my life for the past 5 years. And I'm telling you, like, especially with Jesse Lee's podcast, I mean, they really did change my life. But I think if you're in a position right now, you need to understand that like you're going to grow old one day and your body's going to change. Your face is going to change. And this was a big realization for me, is that your body is not going to be your moneymaker forever. So like you should probably figure something else out. And that might not sound empowering, but it's the truth. And it's a hard realization that I had to have, is like, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? And it's fun at first and it's like liberating, and you feel like you're on top of the world because you get to make money off of your looks. That was me. I was like, oh, I get to make money because I'm pretty. I was so egotistical, number one, not to say that anybody watching this is, but I was. And so I had to really understand my value was so much deeper than just my surface level looks. And I think that you also need to understand that, like, it's so possible for you. And here's the thing too, is like, I've always been the person to be like, I don't really have any any talents or anything to offer. So naturally I was offering my body, right? I think that if you sit with yourself for a little bit, you'll really come to find out that you have a lot to offer. Even if you stop doing what you're doing and you document it for social media, you're going to change so many people's lives. Be the change that you want to see. Be the person that you want to look up to, right? That's what I essentially did, was I became somebody that I would look up to, that I would take advice from. And just know that, like I said, you're just more than your body and you're more than your looks, and you can do anything that you set your mind to.
I love it. Girl, you're empowering. You already know that. That's why you do what you do. So, where can the women find you if they want to hear more?
So I am on TikTok at the Kelsey Rhae. I am on Instagram at hey_it's Kelsey Rhae, and then Facebook is just Kelsey Rhae. And my name is Rhae, so make sure you spell that right. But yeah, I mean, if you search Kelsey Rhae on any platform, I'll pop. I'm everywhere really. So you just search my name and I'll pop up. So yeah.
Hey, the ladies will be sure to find you. And ladies and maybe gentlemen, feel free to look into the show notes for more information on how you can follow Kelsey Rhae on social media platforms. Before we wrap up, I would love to just share a quick story of my first encounter with Sweet Jessie Lee, just because I haven't got the chance to share this with you either. So I won baseball game tickets in a box suite at the local baseball game. And I'm so bad at sports, I can't even tell you. Would that be the Mavericks? Don't kill me. I don't know. But I am in Dallas, Texas. So I met her at her apartment. I walk in. I'm late because I've been circling the building trying to figure out which one is her unit, and I couldn't find out. But then I saw a door open and a bunch of people inside. And so I'm like, okay, that has to be it. So I park, I go inside, and they're like, like, yeah, you're in the right place. Come on in. And I'm like, hey, Jessie. And she's like, hold on. Don't ever call me Jessie. It's either Jessie Lee or Jessie Lee Ward. That there's no other way to say it. And I'm like, oh, no. She said it's either Boss Lee or Jessie Lee. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, oh snap, she ain't playing. Like, my bad. But they should like, no, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to tell you, it's either Boss Lee or Jesse Lee. That's it. So I just wanted to share that that little clip bit because this is our episode in her loving memory at the same time. So when y'all see Kelsey, don't call her Kelsey. My girl is Kelsey Rhae, boo, because that's what she put there. So that's what she wants to be addressed as. Don't get it twisted. But Kelsey Rhae, I can't express how much it means to me that you're here. And not only that, but your story was so empowering, and everything you said didn't only sit with our audience, but it sat with me. So I genuinely appreciate you for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. That was amazing.
All right, y'all. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning into Lean. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take on whatever challenges come your way. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use a little extra encouragement. The Lean podcast thrives because of listeners like you. So let's continue to build this community. Drop a comment, leave a review, and let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. And if you haven't yet, be sure to join our Facebook group, the Ladies Empowerment and Alignment Network, where the conversation and support continues every day. Until next time, keep leaning into growth, empowerment, and alignment. Thanks for being a part of the Lean community.